Hello my spannering chums. Just a little video, this one, for a couple of people that have asked me what's it like to own a bird. Well, when I was looking at getting a blackbird, I went on YouTube, as you do, trying to do as much research as you can, if you will. And the thing I found was everybody was like, oh yeah, it does 300 kilometers an hour, which is bollocks because it doesn't. But they were all speed related, and there was nothing about, you know, what happens if you want a blackbird just for a normal everyday ride. So I thought I'd do one differently. The hell's that? Cool. Anyway, right, so here goes. What's it like to own a bird? Expensive. No, not really. They're not very good on petrol. I drive normally, as you can see, just like as if I was driving a 125 or 250 or whatever. I tend to keep to the speed limits a lot. I don't go crazy. And she averages about 35 to the gallon. That's English gallon, which isn't the best, considering I've just come off a BMW that averaged 70 to the gallon. So I'm finding her very thirsty. Hey-oh, you know, it's one of them things. That's the price you got to pay for owning a blackbird, I suppose. When you clog it, which you can't exactly do a lot, because there's not exactly anywhere to clog them. You can 120, 130 miles to a gallon, to a tank, but it's not strictly a tank. It's from when the reserve light comes on and I fill it up again when the reserve light comes on. I mean, if you're absolutely hammering it, you're looking at 120 miles. On the normal, like what I'm doing now, from full to reserve, it's about 160 miles. And let's not forget, you got four. It feels like there's something wrong with my front end. It really does. Yeah, it must be me. Yeah, you got 4 litres, which is nearly a gallon, just in reserve. So, oh, I don't know, 22, 18. So 18 litres for 160 mile, whatever that works out at. And that's riding normally. So they're not exactly cheap to run. Tyres are standard 120, 180. The linked brakes, oh, I don't know. Some people like them, some people don't. It doesn't really matter, it puts the front on with the back and the back with the front. I don't know, you don't really notice it that much. I'd prefer to have independent brakes, because if I want the back on, I want the back on. I use the back more than I do the front, but I know some riders that only use the front and never use the back, which is fucking silly. So, I don't know, link brakes are just link brakes. Brakes are fine. They used to be shit. They're quite sharp now, they've come into their own. So the brakes are okay. Not the best, certainly not the worst. Suspension wise, I'm having a hell of a fucking time with this one. Jesus. I've took the old fork oil out, I've put new fork oil in. I've put a different air gap in it, different fork oil in it with a different air gap in it. I tried mixing 4-coil with an air gap, then a different air gap, and then I relented and I actually went to Jaws, Blackbird, Homer Blackbird. You know, if you don't know, Jaws is like the best place to get the best stuff for the Blackbird in the world. So I went to Jaws and I got new spring internals for the front forks. I think they cost about 90 odd quid. Oh, I don't know. I'm still not happy with it, to be honest. It's still bouncy. It's not. It's a dark art. It's either too dampened, which I don't think it is. I think it's actually running on the springs and not enough dampener. I don't think I've got enough dampening. I really don't. What else is there? Heavy. As heavy as all the other bikes, really. I mean, yeah, you get lighter ones, R6s, R1s. She's not particularly heavy. When you get her over 60, that's when the handling kicks in and she really does handle well. But at the moment, I can still feel the bouncing. And I'm not happy with that. But as a bike as a whole, not a bad bike. Is it the best bike I've ever owned? No. But it is the cheapest bike I've ever owned. Yes, indeedy. This little beastie cost 1,300 English pounds. That's it. That's a cheap winter hack. Okay, when I got it, it was shagged, proper shagged. It was one level up from a write-off. And it's taken quite a bit to do it. But that's part and parcel of owning the bike. I just wish I could get this suspension. I'll see if I can show you it. I'll lock my arms. Go over this bump. Right, now this is a dead flat road, this. So it was a hell of a lot worse than that. So I've got it down to a bare minimum, but I'm still not 100% happy. So owning the Blackbird is not really expensive to buy, and the chains are the same as most other bikes, the tyres are the same. It's basically the same as all the others. The only difference is you can't twist the throttle like most other bikes. I mean, if you own a 600cc bike and you were coming up here and you wanted to do 70, you'd probably be in third gear and give the handlebar a good twist. But I'll tell you what, I'll do 70 miles an hour. Right, I'm currently doing 40. I'm doing 40. Ready? 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. So yeah, this thing flies if you're not careful. Now I'm currently cruising at 70. I'm doing 3,500 revs, and when I say 70, I mean 70, and I mean she's cruising. She's really cruising. She could sit here all day. So that was 110 miles an hour in second gear. What else can I say? Yes, she's very, very quick, and you have to be very, very slight on the accelerator. But the thing about it is, you have to keep an eye on the speedo, because if you don't, you'll creep up and you won't realise it. I mean, you'll be sitting there doing 70 mile an hour and just minding your own business, la 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 la. Next thing you'll be looking down and you'll be doing 85 and you won't realise it. That's partly because the engine, it is so smooth. There isn't a single vibe on this engine, not one. It's got twin balancer shafts, so it makes the engine turbine smooth, and it really is silly smooth, which is good, but you can't feel it when you can't feel the revs creep up, and that's quite hard. It's the carburetted version, but I hear the fuel injection version is exactly the same. You still can't feel anything from the engine. No vibes, no, absolutely nothing. Absolutely crazy. Really smooth bike. If I could get this front end sorted, I mean, it's nearly there. It's 8/10 there. I'd have the perfect bike. There's stupid little bits on it, but every bloody bike's got stupid little bits. Yeah, as I was saying, it isn't the best. It's not the best bike I've owned. No. I can't really put my finger on the best bike because they're all good for something. The CBF, that was the most comfortable and had the most seat space. The BMW, that was the best for miles per gallon. The Firestorm, that was the best at wheeling and had the best noise. This is the best at acceleration and smoothness. The CBR6, that was best at just being hell of a fun. Absolutely screaming the arse off it everywhere and loving every minute of it. But that is something you cannot do on this. You can't twist the throttle. The throttle movement is very tiny. Don't get me wrong, if you own a 600cc bike, you could ride this easily. In fact, a good mate of mine, he owns a 600 Diversion. He's had his licence 8 months, and that's the only bike he's ever ridden. And I think it's like a 60-70 horsepower 600 inline 4. He jumped on this and away he went. Absolutely fine. In fact, he jumped on this and away he did go. A long way away from me, because I was on his bike and I tried to catch up. Not a chance. He just fucked off. Well, he obviously enjoyed it, so it's half the battle in it. You've got to enjoy the bike. So anybody can ride these. If you've passed your test, you can ride these. The difference being is you don't realise the speed that you're doing versus your braking ability. That's the difference. You know, you twist the throttle in any gear at all, and you were doing 50 miles an hour faster than what you was originally doing in 3 seconds, 4 seconds. So you, wow, look at that. That is awesome. I bet that's really fast. So that's the only difference. You have to show respect to the power, but that's it. I like it because it's nice and big. There's plenty of room to move around on it. I recently had a little ride of a 600RR, CBR 600RR. Fuck, they're tiny. I mean, they are so small. So, jumping off that and getting onto this. Well, so yes, if you want to get a Blackbird and thinking about getting one, if it's cheap enough, then yeah. If you want speed thrills and you want to go really bloody fast, don't get a Blackbird. Get a Fireblade. Get a Gixxer. Because they're just as fast. So if you want speed, get a sports bike. This is in the middle. I wouldn't say this is a sports bike because it's too bloody comfy. Sports bikes are supposed to be excruciating, and this one isn't. So if you've ever fancied a Blackbird, then go out and get one, by all means. Just make sure it's a cheap one, because they are cheap now. I mean, you can get them for 4 or 5 grand, which is fucking stupid. They're all exactly the bloody same. They've never changed apart from fuel injection and a bit of ABS. So I certainly wouldn't spend over 2 grand on a Blackbird, no matter what year. But yeah, good enough. It's a winter hack. Look at it as a winter hack. And yeah, I must admit it's the first bike I don't mind getting dirty. And that's saying something, that. It really is. I don't mind getting this dirty, I just clean it up again. It's easy enough. So that's it. Absolute rubbish.